Am I non-binary because sometimes like watch Golden Girls in the morning? You know what I mean? Like,
Yep. That's a symptom.
like I don't get
That's a non-binary. Yep.
Okay,
Have you ever peed sitting down?
maybe drunkenly, yeah, I
I
do
was gonna
so.
say, even if you're drunk, because that's a non-binary.
Finally, Rick's not here. Let's solve a good crime. We're looking on Rick's computer to see if we should. I forget that guy's name. Rick. Is Rick doing anything mischievous on these computers?
Yeah.
Should we be standing at a phone booth waiting for Rick Getz to walk by
Oh,
to kill him because we just found shit on his computer or not? That's the
gotcha.
mystery.
I thought I see. I was going with like somebody kidnapped Rick and is molesting him. Are we gonna Gary Plaunché the guy and get Rick back?
That's molesting him.
Yeah.
Hmm. That's also a good idea. He's gonna come back traumatized. I don't know if I
Oh.
can talk about rapes anymore, guys. It hits too close to home.
He just calls them R asterisk PEs.
Yeah. Um,
An elite team of private detectives.
What if balloons are aliens? Maybe that's the key component we're missing.
Cover-ups.
John's guilty.
Mysteries that need to be solved.
Maybe Mormons need mountains.
Richard, shut up.
Let's preface it like this. I already know your answer, but if what happened to the man we're about to talk about today, who you know, uh, say your child is abducted and abused and then returned to you, and they catch the guy alive and bring him in, would you kill him?
100%.
Okay.
With
So-
like not even feeling bad about it. And I would walk to the police officer with my hands like ready to be arrested because I'd understand that I should be arrested for doing that, and I would be okay with it.
Okay. Oh, actually, let me redo that.
Okay.
All right. So let's pose it this way. All right. On paper, what today's story is about, it is about a man, a veteran, who got off of a plane and walked through the airport and was viciously gunned down as he passed a row of payphones.
Oh, that's how we're framing this guy? Okay.
Yes.
Seems okay to me.
Well, I think the point I guess I'm trying to make is like, you know, what happened with Gary Plaunché and Jeff Doucet is Jeff Doucet kidnapped and abused Gary Plaunch's son for quite a while, kidnapped him for 10 days. And then when he came back, Gary Plaunché, in a heat of rage, hid at the airport in a magnificent disguise of sunglasses and a baseball cap and popped Jeff Doucet right in the head with a .38 revolver on TV news cameras. So it is fully in view for everyone to go and watch. I guess the question that I want to pose is not, is that okay? But like, is there another way? I guess like, should we trust the justice system or not? Is really, you know, how you put it. Because if we don't, then, you know, that's that. If we say fuck it, that's going to happen front, left, right, and center, you know, or we do, and potentially Jeff Doucet got like 3 years in prison and then got out and did it again. So it's a very, I guess, difficult thing to say one way or the other, whether or not Gary Plaunché was right.
Just a cursory like beginning to that. Like I feel like if more I say street justice, but like that's what it is. If more street justice was dealt out to certain criminals, there'd be less of that crime. I think. Because like street justice is fucking fickle. It's not like there's no court. You don't know when it's coming. You know what I mean? There's no like getting arrested. You're just fucking done. It's terrifying.
You just said you're from a town of 3,000 people. What is street justice?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how to what else.
He tore up my lawn with his four-wheeler. I stabbed him in the neck, and now he's paralyzed.
No, but there's this fight. Like, yes, you can't fucking stab a guy, but like, you stab my children with your dick. Yeah, you're getting fucking.
But like, who's to determine like what's equitable? I guess. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So like, and this
for
I think
sure.
is good
And
because I am on the opposite side of this. Like, earnestly, I know I don't have a leg to stand on. I'm not going to pretend like anybody else is wrong. To be clear, I don't have kids, and also I don't care about kids. Go ahead, molest them. So I'm not a good person to be playing devil's advocate.
okay.
Kidding.
It's I saw it in his eyes, everyone. You can't see him. He's not kidding.
By my eyes, he means me mouthing the words, I'm not fucking kidding. Ugh. Oh, we should pretend to say why we're doing this too. I guess, yeah. Like we said, Rick's not here, and we're worried he's been kidnapped and molested. So we're figuring out if it's okay to kill the guy when he gets back.
Yeah, what's our course of action when our little baby boy Rick's brought back to us after
Yeah,
10 days?
yeah. Do we trust the justice system, or do we murder that man?
Do we murder that man?
Do
Private
we
Dick
murder that
style.
25-year-old martial arts instructor that's abducted Rick?
I feel like that's who would take him to is this fucking yoga instructor or something. You know that asshole fucks with yoga, even if it's online. So does RJ. All right.
That's literally how I do it too.
So yeah, no, hopefully he's okay though, because yeah, I don't have to kill anyone. This guy pulls up the yoga mat. I'm doing yoga right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think this would be good because then we can debate.
Cool.
But let's get into it. What we've been talking about is March 16th, 1984, a veteran and Hapkido instructor. Everyone says karate. It was Hapkido,
The
I
fuck
guess.
is Hapkido?
That's a Korean martial art.
Okay.
I found one place that specified it was that, and I think that came from his book. I did not read the book, but I decided to stick with Hapkido because it sounded a lot more flavorful than karate. So
Karate's overdone.
it is, yeah. Like let's go against the grain here when we're talking about this child molester. Oh wait, I wasn't supposed to say that part yet. Veteran Hapkido instructor was being led in handcuffs by a row of payphones in the Baton Rouge Metro Airport when another man, sunglasses and a baseball cap, spun around and fired a .38 revolver into the first man's head. Gunman was tackled against a wall by a detective who was escorting the Hapkido instructor. And the detective yelled, "Why, Gary? Why'd you do it?" The victim was not killed instantly. He lied there on the ground, twitching, blood pooling around his head with his eyes wide and unblinking. All of this caught on camera. He died the next day, and the gunman was arrested, charged with second-degree murder, showed no remorse for his actions, and served 0 jail time. What do
Hell
we
yeah.
think of that?
Hell yeah.
Well, Richard says hell yeah because the victim was Jeffrey Doucet, a known child molester who had molested Gary Plaunché, the gunman's 10-year-old son, Jodi Plaunché. He had kidnapped him for 10 days, and the boy was missing until he was found. And mind you, this is an interesting thought. We'll get into it later. Let's get some background on Gary Plaunché first. First off, I never looked up how to accurately pronounce this man's name, so I don't know that Plaunché is accurate. Do you?
Does it have an E with a little thing on the end of it?
It does.
Gary Plaunché.
Plauché.
That E, it's called an E accent aigu, and it's an E with a little, I don't know what the English name for the
It's a
accent
French
is.
thing.
Yeah, but it's always like it makes it the A sound.
Oh, that makes sense if he's from Baton Rouge. He's probably got that Cajun shit in him.
Yeah, whatever. I forget what that's called, but yeah, it's Creole or whatever is
Yeah.
partially French or mostly French.
That makes sense. I do remember in the video when the cop tackled him against a wall, a bunch of crawfish kind of like burst out of his pockets. Yeah.
I did not know it was Baton Rouge. I thought this was a Canadian case. So you're teaching me stuff right now.
Oh,
I
really?
always knew
Yeah.
about it. I knew about it. I just never really dug into it before. I just know the buddy fucking shot for. I know the whole
Gotcha.
what you just said. I don't know anything further than that.
Gotcha. Yep. This took place all in the U.S. Good old U.S. of A. Exactly what we're known for: child molesters and excessive gun violence.
And you said 84
This happened in 1984. Yes.
in an airport. Okay.
In an airport. Yep.
Okay.
It
Cool.
was in Arrivals. I could bring a gun into Arrivals today.
Okay, that's true. I would thought it was like
9/11 didn't stop us from murdering people behind the security.
at arrivals. Yeah.
That's right. That's after you pass the TSA, baby. You are not safe.
It's just going to be an Ubers that go to the airport pretty soon. You got to like get in and get frisked in the back seat. Fuck.
Yeah, there's a guy just sitting next to you the whole time after he's manhandled you.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't go anywhere. I got to go. I can stay for the ride. You want some of this gum he's got?
Yeah. Bring this on the plane. At least hand sanitizer.
Yeah. So Gary Plaunché, born on November 10th, 1945, very close to another certain special person's birthday. Am I right?
Are you drawing comparisons to me and Gary Plaunché?
I guess so. I mean,
like
you can't
it.
ignore the proximity of birthday, I guess. Except, like 38 years earlier.
Yeah, it's okay. He's double my age.
Yeah. Not a whole lot I could find about Gary's background, but enough. I think he served in the Air Force and he left after earning the rank of staff sergeant. After that, he became a salesman of what and for whom I do not know. But interesting texture, he was a cameraman for the local news station as well.
Yes.
So, and I don't know if this was like supplementary to his salesman activities or just like another career path that he left behind. It seems like it was kind of like a side gig.
He was a cameraman who was like wrapped into like a pyramid scheme and he couldn't get out. He was just trying to sell.
He's filming his activities selling Cutco knives. He ended up marrying June Plauché, and they had 4 children. I know 2 of their names. It is not. I honestly, the only way I think I would have gotten all of like the nitty gritty details is if I had read Jodi's book, which, ironically enough, I may do after this because it sounds very interesting.
So the kid has a book. I thought you meant the dad had a book.
Yes. So just,
Jodi,
I guess
okay.
we can jump ahead a little bit just to give a little bit of context. Jodi is alive and very well. He today is an advocate for sex crime victims, and he does like public speaking engagement, how to like identify sexual predator behavior and do like early detection for like grooming and stuff.
Getting molested was the best thing that ever happened to me.
You would be surprised, but like realistically, I don't know that he says that, but he all but implies it by just living today.
Oh, that's a speech at the schools. Like he's teaching the kids that.
Look, anyway. Yeah, I'm just telling you, if a guy says, like you want us to hang out after karate classes, maybe do it.
You could be me. Yeah. I look like I've got a good life.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. I believe 3 of the children at least were boys. And that's only important a little bit later. Anyways, they have 4 kids, Gary and June. Jodi was born on April 17th, 1972. That is a typo. Jodi was born on April 27th. So happy early birthday, Jodi.
It's a happy early birthday.
Yeah, he'll be 52. Gary and his wife, June, were separated by early 1984 when the shooting ended up happening. But prior to that, the kids, they started these martial arts lessons in 1983. But you can kind of draw the conclusion that things at that point with Gary and June were already not great. a divorce doesn't come up in a matter of 6 months. You know what I mean? They for sure more than likely had problems. When I talk about that, it's all conjecture. There's no indication that Gary was ever abusive or somehow like unfaithful or anything to indicate he was a bad guy to be with. And I say that not to like exonerate him further, but just because there's none of that information there. And I don't want that to, I guess, like color anything.
People get divorces for a lot of different reasons. It
Exactly.
doesn't have to be
Exactly.
that. It could be
There's
that they just didn't get along, or they grew
and,
apart from each other. Shit like that happens all the
and
time.
it,
So
or it could be that he punched her in the face every night. That's the
definitely,
thing. There's no knowing
you
because
just spun that fucking revolver every night and just click. You get to live the night until she
sat in a
left.
chair in the corner across from her bed, just not tonight, June.
Do you still want a divorce, June? Like, who knows? But I agree with you. There's no reason to say that he was or was not, but people get divorced for a lot of reasons. So
Right, but I think at a bare minimum they just were not doing well. I mean, 4 kids in the 80s, who the fuck knows? You know what I mean? But the way
he was like
that
$30,000 deep in fucking cheese he had to sell, and he couldn't get rid of his cases of cheese. So
Jeez.
he's a cheese salesman.
Oh fuck. Plauché's quesos. Plauché's gourmets. You want to buy some of this cheese? No? All right, fuck. Let me take your picture.
That's stressful on a family. You can get divorced for fucking 55 cases of cheese. That's what I'm saying.
Probably, yeah. Especially if it sits in the garage, it gets all smelly.
You got to get rid of this cheese. It's going to go bad. It's cheese. It never goes bad. Just cut off the mold.
Yeah. It's Velveeta. It's sealed. I mean, shit. It's Plauché. Fuck. The kids started taking karate lessons, the Hapkido lessons, excuse me, in about 1983, and their instructor was Jeffrey Doucet. Also, not sure if that's how you pronounce his name. If we're doing all this French shit, it might be Doucet. I don't know.
Is it ETDE or is it ET?
E.T.
It's probably Doucet because it's
Yeah.
American, but that would be another way of saying A in French, ET. So it might be Doucet, but it's probably Doucet. It's Plauché for sure, but Doucet's probably Doucet.
Okay, cool. Even less is known about Doucet. Born in Port Arthur, Texas, shithole, in 1959. He did admit to one point, I assume after being arrested, that he was molested as a kid himself. I don't always like that's how it, and I know they only say it because it tends to be true, but that it's like, I don't like how much that should make sense, because not every person that gets molested goes on to molest people. That's the issue I draw with it. But
It is.
other than that,
It's a thing though. So like it's
It
like
is.
the McDonald triangle with serial killers. Like not every kid who like light fires and shit like that becomes a serial killer, but it does come up more often with serial killers, you know?
yeah.
So it's not an indicator.
What's the thing they say, like, not every blank's a blank, but every blank blanks or something? That wasn't even remotely specific enough to trigger anything. I'm sorry. We'll move on.
I don't know, I'm drawing a blank.
Ka-chow! All right. So Jeff was kind of a piece of shit. He was like a drifter. Like, he was living out of the martial arts studio that he was teaching at the time. He didn't really have anything to his name. He just did like other odd jobs. So, and this is my opinion, again. So anybody who wants to hop on and argue specifics, please do. Anything I can do to not read a book would be great. I assume this happened because of his circumstances, and I also would assume his veteran status, but the family fucking loved Jeff. June and Gary both. They got to the point where, you know, like seeing like the way he was with the boys and how much they loved him, and then just seeing like his living circumstances, they would invite him over for dinner, no questions asked if he wanted to like take the boys out like skating or to the movies, shit like that. Like, he would just like be like their friend. And it kind of seems like it got to the point where they sort of adopted him like he was like their much older brother.
Uncle Jeff's staying over for supper again tonight.
Exactly.
They're
Yeah.
like thirst trapping this guy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They just brought him right into the fold.
Jesus Christ.
And it's yeah. I mean, and I think it was easy to see, like, and have that empathy because like he's an ex-Marine, and here's Gary. Gary was in the military, and you see this guy who like is really good with your kids, and your fucking family is falling apart more than likely because your marriage is all fucked up. And here's this guy distracting your three boys, keeping them from getting in trouble or anything, or even paying any attention to what's going on at home.
I'm going to pose you a different scenario on that. Maybe
Yeah.
that's the reason they're getting divorced. It's like, oh, Jeff keeps leering at the kids, and I don't really like him around the house. And he's like, no, he's a veteran. He's a good guy. He's fucking Lucy, go make us sandwiches. He's a good guy. But he's looking at the kids really weird, like really, really weird. Like, I'm fucking serious. We're getting a divorce if you keep bringing this shit up. He's a veteran.
And you know what? If anybody I think was in his camp, it was Gary. I do believe June was too, but there's no bones about it. Gary did not think anything of this guy.
Yeah.
And that comes up a bit later.
Okay, sorry, before you keep going, do you know if is he a veteran? Like, okay, I'm trying to understand how a guy named Jeff Doucet learns a fucking Korean martial art. Is he a Korean vet? Like, did he go to the Korea and then learn?
Nope.
Like,
I mean, if he was born in 59, so if it was ex-Marine in the 80s, I mean, who the fuck knows what he did? You know what I mean? Like, I don't even think he wasn't old enough for Vietnam.
And do you know if his Hapkido place was like popular? Like a lot of people went there, because I feel like 1984 is when Karate Kid #1 came out, and he must have been pissed at every karate studio. Like, I knew I should have just opened up karate. Fuck it, Karate Kid just came out.
I mean, Baton Rouge is a big place, so I would imagine like they probably did have a fair amount of students. I wouldn't, I don't know exactly where it was or like what the studio was.
I'm
I
just
don't even
curious
know.
if it was really sad and he slept in there and nobody actually came to his thing. And like the first people that came through his door were the Plaunchés, and he's like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
gonna treat he's like attached to them
I
because
don't.
nobody else.
That's a good point because I don't even know that it was his studio. He might have just been like an instructor at like a gym or something.
I
But that's a
gotcha.
good point because I don't think he had that much to his name because he just like living in there. Like I don't even know if this fucking dude like had any other jobs. You know what I mean? It seems like he did like it seems also like he might have done like carpentry work and stuff too, which is just like the perfect middle of the road piece of shit under the table job where you just get cash and then you don't show up for a week and then you
And
need
then you
more
get to
money.
check out people's houses and who they have there. And
Exactly. Yeah. Oh God. All the kids did love Jeff, but Jeff extra loved Jodi, obviously.
how extra?
Oh, well.
A couple inches extra?
So here's the horrifying part. Their relationship, and by that I mean Jeff's inappropriate behavior toward Jodi, escalated for a full year prior to him being murdered by Gary. This started much, much earlier. He would there would be an occasional like trip related to like the martial arts, whether it was like a competition or something, and he would like sleep in the same like bed with him on these trips, or he would here's a quote. Jodi says Jeff would go, "We need to stretch," so he'd be touching around my legs. That way, if he grabbed my private area, he could say it was an accident. We were just trying to stretch. Or if we were driving in the car, he'd put his hand on my lap and might go, "Oh, I didn't mean to. I didn't realize my hands were there." That's that slow, gradual seduction.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have used the word seduction.
Me neither, I don't think. Groom.
Yeah. I mean, that is what it was, and I think that these things kept happening in such a way where it's like he says, it's slow and gradual, where you can keep justifying it and keep rationalizing it when you're the victim until it just it's how they say. And I think he says this a little bit later. I have the quote too, but it's like you establish new normals and you keep moving those goalposts. And that's how it just went on for so long.
Plus he's 9 or 10 too. Like,
yeah, he's 10. So it's like, he doesn't fucking, know what to do.
Is this how I get my brown belt in Hapkido?
No. Side note, I found out how much bullshit that all is too. My two friends, they do Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And they actually go to like a really good studio, it sounds like. So the standards are very high. But ultimately, it's just fucked up to the people who own the gym. Like, there's no like standardized testing. They just decide if you get the fucking belt or not.
For sure. 100%.
Yeah, there's like no like myth, and I know this like I I don't think so. I went on a date a little while ago, and the girl did taekwondo, and she said she had a brown belt. Then I come to find out her ex's parents owned the gym. This date is still dangerous for you. Got it. No. But I guess, yeah, it's all just like up to like some fucking guy. So I don't know. Side note, if you're interested in getting into martial arts and you're curious about belt color meaning anything, kind of doesn't.
Yeah. Sorry.
So here's where it gets a little oof. There's another story that Jodi's uncle, not sure if it was paternal or maternal, but he saw Jeff kiss Jodi on the mouth. And he went and told Gary this, and Gary was like, "What? No, you didn't see that, right? Like, you don't know what you're talking about. That you had to have misunderstood that." And nothing ever came of it.
Not my reaction.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah.
Not especially maybe. I don't know. I was gonna say they were all a little simpler times in the 80s, but like just we have so much media and so much shit in front of us that like terrifies us versus like go out until the light comes off and then I'll talk to you. Like I don't think I can do that now. My kids have phones. Like I need to know where you are if I need to, you know what I mean?
Yep. So, yeah. I mean, it's just
my reaction is what? And then you go perhaps go have a conversation with the child present so they don't lie.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you just kiss him on the mouth?
Yeah, at least. We should start there, at least.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yep. Well, Jodi's whole deal at the time is he didn't want to say anything. It seems like, again, speculation here, but he sees his parents having a hard time. They're probably fucking fighting and not keeping it quiet. So, being, poor 10-year-old, he probably feels like he's just going to add problems by being like, "Hey, Jeff is kissing me on the mouth," especially when they see how much they love him. You know what I mean? Because that's what these guys do. They make themselves so ingratiated. So,
yeah.
Were you gonna say something? Sorry.
No, it's just soon someone tells me that though, it doesn't really matter. It's somebody else. Your kid, see, I get the kid part because you're just little and you don't understand what's the emotions and everything that's going through you.
Yep.
You're just kind of shut down. You got to feel real safe with your parents to be able to even bring that kind of shit up.
Right.
And most times kids don't because whenever they bring up something, they're either like, oh, or you know what I mean? Like not always, but like you don't want that ever from your parents, right? I can see the kid part, but the friend going up and telling him kiss on the lips, that's like, nope, we're going to ask some questions now. I'm still mad about that Gary, dude, you didn't have to, like, you could have probably stopped it then. You didn't even have to wait till he was in handcuffs. You could have just shot him at your house.
And that's kind of like where the angle I come at it from.
Yeah.
So I think, with Jodi's situation, it was really just because, I mean, for all you know too, I mean, like they could have been like, say they're arguing about money. Say it's been mentioned how fucking expensive your goddamn karate classes are, so you better, yada yada. And that when you're a kid, that shit is just so black and white. Like you don't want to like, it's either all or nothing. So like, if you do that and it blows everything up, you can't even picture what that looks like.
Like you always hear your dad and your mom like, do you think like Jeff's gonna take cheese again this month for payment, or does he want cash? And you got to be the one to like relay that to him. And like, you don't want to bring up the cheese again.
So shut the fuck up and be a Gouda boy and go to karate class. Oh fuck. So this is where we really put our foot on the gas. February 19th, 1984. Jeff privately asks Jodi if he wanted to go to California with him. Jodi says yes. Mind you, at this time, Jeff is also awaiting trial for passing bad checks. So,
once I flip this cheese, I swear to God.
Yeah. I've been cutting off slices of your dad's cheese for years now. I got a nice little nest egg of cheese blocks of my own. We're gonna make it, Jodi. Oh fuck. So Doucet calls up June, says, "Hey, I want to pick up Jodi and show him some carpet I'm installing." No idea. You don't ask me why that is a normal thing for a grown man to pick a child up and show him.
Okay, sorry. You said some carpet they're installing?
Some carpet he is installing.
Yeah, okay. Jesus. I hope that's not a weird, like, creepy fucking pedophile euphemism.
I mean, also, though, he was probably installing carpet for money. So it's a very type of guy like him thing to do.
Ugh.
He tells June, I'm back in 15 minutes. Except that's not what happens. Doucet shaves his previously very shaggy beard and dyes Jodi's blonde hair black, puts the two of them on a bus, and travels 2,000 miles, over that much, from Baton Rouge to Anaheim, California, at his fucking mom's house. So during this time, Jodi's missing. And it becomes a nationwide thing. Like, where is this missing child? Obviously, last seen with Jeffrey Doucet. And as the days tick by, and everyone's like, fuck, okay, kid's gone. We don't know. Maybe he's with him still, maybe he's not. I don't know if they like immediately knew Jeff was who did it, but I can't imagine that they would have thought anything else. I mean, he clearly didn't fucking show up for his bad check trial, and he was the last one. He took him from the fucking house. All told, it's a good 10 days in total that Jodi is missing. During those 10 days, they are staying at a hotel out near Los Angeles. Jeffrey is taking Jodi to Disneyland, trying to treat the whole thing like a vacation, except he is also raping him and holding him captive.
Okay, sorry. This is
a
very specific question that might not make a difference, but like, is the kid like being held captive, or does he just think that I'm going back home in like a week? You know what I mean? Like, yes, he's being held captive, don't get me wrong, but is that what's happening in the kid's mind?
From everything I can tell, yes, Jodi is not happy.
Okay.
He is.
Well, obviously he's not
very
happy
much,
getting molested, but I mean,
well,
is he looking forward to the next day where we're going to Disneyland? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think it was such an escalation from like the unwanted touching and being, literally picked up and fucking shot away to like across the country. I think it was obviously just that alone was very traumatizing, because throughout the time, Jodi is asking to call his parents. And Jeff is telling him no.
Yeah.
Now we go forward near the end of these 10 days. The police are totally on tap. They are at June and Gary's house. Well, at this point, I don't know if it's Gary's house anymore. Ooh. But they're there when Jeff finally relents and he does let Jodi call. Now they trace this call, and that's how they find him. But interesting thing that I did find, and you have to find like a Washington Post article from the 80s to even find this information. But Jeff and June had a conversation on the phone, and it adds some interesting texture to this whole thing. Jeff says, bring the kids and their school transcripts, the rest of the kids. Bring them to where they filmed Hill Street Blues if you want to see Jodi again. I'm assuming that just means Hollywood. I'm not sure.
The specific set.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Yeah,
if they were just in
weird.
like a fucking fake police precinct from the 80s. Dick Wolf's in the back smoking a cigar, like, I'm thinking of a new show. I'm gonna call it Law and Order.
Dun, dun.
Yeah. He also said, so the police are there, and they're kind of like coaching June too, so they can keep him on the phone. So June says, Gary might use this to get custody of all the children if you don't bring Jodi back. And this was specifically instructed by the police. Jeff replies, if the court gives Gary the kids, I'll get them from him. And now he's like furious. And he's like blowing up. He's like, I'm tired of people saying I'm insane. And if you say I am, you'll never hear from me again. I mean, at this point, it doesn't matter, you know, that he hangs up. It's too late. They got the call traced. But that conversation is where rumors start to come in. And this is where we revisit that, you know, like what was kind of going on in their marriage. Again, we have no idea. But a prevailing rumor is that Jeff and June were having an affair, which wouldn't be totally impossible because oftentimes people will start a relationship with the parent of the child that they are abusing to have better access to them. So it wouldn't surprise me if they were having an affair and talking about going away together. You know, maybe it was to California. Maybe they talked, you know, and waxed romantically about just whisking away with all of the kids, just, you know, June and Jeff and them, and starting a new family.
It sounds like it. It sounds like this is like his way of forcing her hand. She was just like,
yeah,
I don't want to. She's like, whatever, I'm going to take one of them then. I'll diddle on the
Yep.
way, and then you're fall behind quick behind me because you don't want me to. You want to keep your kids safe. Because she
Yep.
Anyways, I don't know. You don't sound too stressed like about him taking the kid, more that you want all the other kids. So you must have
Yeah.
like, I don't know. They have cops there. I don't know. I don't know enough.
This, I mean, and that, because this, it's just, it sounds like it, because that does happen. That exact thing. If you look around tons of times, you know, you see mom gets with you know, some guy, and then a few years later he's molesting or arrested for molesting the daughter or whatever from a previous marriage, or, you know, just not his biological kid or something. They like invade, and they're like, you know, parasites.
Yeah, it could be just like availability too. If this guy's like sticking around their house and stuff, and she's just breaking up, and like she's probably like looking for something different, you know. And then this guy's
Oh
just
yeah.
easily accessed, so it's easy for you, and he's just like fucking perfect for
I
these
just think
kids.
it's interesting because, you know, like initial response would usually be like, well, he's interested in little boys, not women. Why would he? And because he can basically be in control of that little boy if he's his stepdad, you know, which is disgusting, but it's, I don't know. It lends a lot of credence to it is all. And that's where, like, you know, like the other rumors of like Gary being potentially abusive or whatever, yada yada. But like, I don't think he needs to be abusive for that to have been the case, you know, because it's like you said, people get divorced for a lot of reasons. They could have just fallen out of love, you know what I mean? And she just
Yeah.
wanted something different. Nobody's really doing anything morally wrong there.
And nobody knows.
Um,
Could be anything, like you said.
right. But people like to say it also because it adds additional motive for Gary's killing of Jeff. But I don't think there was ever any doubt of there not being enough motive.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of motive. But like,
I don't think with or without the rumors, I think he was full up on motive.
but one motive gives you, oh, poor guy. The other motive gives you were just looking for a reason.
Right.
So like I can
right.
I can see why that would fuel the opposite too, right?
Definitely, yeah. If I'm a bad faith prosecutor, that's definitely the scab I'm picking.
That's what
get
I would
you
be.
mean,
That's what
yeah.
if that's what I thought anyway. But like nobody's anyways, we'll talk about it in a bit, I'm sure, but like
No,
nobody
yeah,
cares.
no. I mean, break it down. I don't give a shit because I mean, like it is like, and I think the thing that's tough is just that there's zero confirmation either way. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
because it's not, nobody's ever come out and been like, all right, like here's the deal. And again, maybe Jodi did in the book, but I doubt it also because like you think you'd be able to find that a little bit more readily, but I don't think because all things aside, like, you know, just not jumping ahead, but like Jodi is big fan of his dad. He does not hate his father or anything, but there is some other, you know, context there that we'll get to. But it's he doesn't ever clue you into the fact that outside of killing a man, that his father was ever a bad guy.
Yeah.
So I don't think the abuse is a valid thing. So working our way back in, the police trace that call, rescue Jodi, and arrest Doucet. Jodi's returned home, huge media presence, and he is greeted, and there's cameras there, and Gary is sobbing and kissing him on the head and hugging him, and they're all just so fucking happy that he's back home. I mean, you're talking about a child that's been missing for 10 days and comes back alive. So it feels like a huge relief and a big win. Except at this point, nobody still knows a single thing about any of the sexual assault. In their mind, none of that was even in the realm of possibility.
So it's sounding more and
not
more like those two were fucking, and this is like a play. That's what the cops must have thought at first. That
Mhm.
Lucy and fucking Jeff were smashing it out.
June, but those are kind of the same name, aren't they?
What did I say?
Lucy.
Oh,
Those are the same. It's like
I thought her name was Lucy. Fuck,
it's
there you
like
go.
Dave and Kevin. David and Kevin. That's the same name. You know what I mean? Like
So white.
yeah, exactly. So a rape kit is done, and 2 weeks later, after the results are processed, it comes back positive. This absolutely destroys Gary and June. Gary instantly blames himself. He feels like he fucked up, like, because, I mean, when that happens, you got to think he's probably replaying everything in his mind, not the least of which is his brother or brother-in-law turning him and saying, like, hey, that dude just kissed your son on the mouth. Like,
Yeah, no, for sure. That's the first thing he
yeah.
thought of. The mouth kiss.
Yep, that had to fucking kill him. So this is what brings us almost fully current. What happens next is Gary is losing his mind. And he's more or less drowning his sorrows, and he is drinking at a bar called the Cotton Club, and he is drinking with one of his old news network buddies who happens to be an executive producer for the local news station, and also happens to have some insider knowledge about what's happening with Jeff Doucet and when he's going to be back in Louisiana.
Yes, because they would set up pressers and shit for this stuff
Correct.
to like make them have their like perp walk or whatever.
Yep. The
Interesting.
bartender and everyone there is kind of like talking about it, and it is said that Gary overheard his flight comes in at 9:08. Now, make of this what you will. My opinion's pretty locked in. They all knew what was going to happen.
Oh,
You know what I
fuck
mean?
yeah.
Like,
He said, I want to
they
kill that motherfucker. And he's like, you know how you can kill that motherfucker? I know when he's coming in. Like,
Yep.
guaranteed that's how that fucking happened.
Yep. So Gary, from everything I can tell, leaves from the bar. he, he leaves from the bar and like just somewhere procures a set of sunglasses and a ball cap and his gun, which it's Louisiana, so he probably already had that at the bar, and made his way to the Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport and stood there at the payphone while he was on the phone with a friend, and reportedly he's talking to this guy saying, yeah, I'm gonna do it, all right, there he is, you're about to hear a loud bang.
Wow.
Yep, that is when we see this, because we can't do this and not watch the fucking video.
No, for sure. First time I watched this video, Faces of Death. I was about 12.
Oh, really? Bowling for Columbine.
Yeah, there you go.
Mine.
Bowling for Columbine has it too. That's right.
Yep. Yeah.
That executive producer told him exactly where to put the camera to. We're gonna get this.
Oh, without question. Yeah.
Make sure you get him from facing the fucking payphones, please.
All right. Here we go. So the big guy in front is Detective Barrett, I believe is his name.
Why, Gary? Why? I like how they zoomed right in. Like the cameraman didn't even just like give him any
these detectives
dignity.
Gave up.
Yeah, he was dead instantly, but they didn't try to revive at all. They just like kind of gave a little signs of life and turned him over, and you see blood pooling on his head. And I like this cop who comes in at the end. He's like, "What happened?"
What do you think, motherfucker?
I don't know. It looked like kind of like he went, "I don't know."
Yep.
Yeah, on live television, right?
So I don't think I've watched the rest of this. I'm not quite
I've never
sure
seen what happens after. Yeah.
What happens? Yeah, we can just keep rolling.
Oh,
through,
they just arrest him. Yes, I've seen this. They just like pull him away in handcuffs.
Yeah.
But like fucking Gary, man. That shit's ballsy. I'm gonna give him that. Like how did he get the gun? Just in his waistband, or did he have like a bag or some shit? Was it
Yeah, it's
covered
the
in
fucking
cheese?
80s, dude. He was drunk. He was probably smoking a cigarette at the fucking payphone.
That's true. I'm fucking gonna do it, man. And how many shots did he take? Just one or two, or
Just one.
do you
It
like
sounded
that? The
like.
cops picked up the gun. They like put it in the other detective's pocket. That's how they carried it away, the evidence. They didn't put it in a
Yeah.
bag or anything. It was in his jacket pocket. I guess you really don't need the fingerprints. You watched him do it.
Oh man, what do you think is going through his fucking head right now? Gary, we know it went through Jeff's head.
A bullet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with like, fuck yeah, piece of shit. I fucking can't wait for jail. This is gonna be awesome. Because even if he did go to the jail after this, he's a fucking hero. It's not. There's none of the inmates are gonna give him a hard time. They're gonna call him a fucking hero.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I want to see. Oh, cool. We can. I'm gonna slow it down.
Good idea.
And we'll go back. I want to see how slow this is. I don't know if that's slow enough, but we'll keep going.
So you can see the last thing that went through his mind. You want to see if
Yes.
Now the police officer's in the way. That's
Yeah, watch. So that's what I wanted to hang on real quick. So right here, I'll do that again real quick. Look how
you can see
fucking
it.
close he comes to shooting the fucking cop.
Oh, the cop was back it up a bit and then do it even slower because I think you can see the bullet come out just briefly.
Yep, I think we can go down to 0.25. We can go half that.
You just wait. Just before the police officer gets in the way, look at the top of his head.
Yep, yeah, you can see his hair fucking.
Bam.
Yep, right there. Fuck. Crazy.
Yeah. Right on live TV. It's only been a couple of those, like, ever.
Yep. So that cop that tackles him right there, he says, "Why, Gary? Why?" That's Barrett. That's what Jodi's book is named. Why, Gary? Why?
Why, Gary? Why? Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And we'll know why that's the case a little bit later. But I also just want to go back to show my favorite part. This. That is so fucking like Law and Order SVU. The fucking like, God damn it. And it almost seems like rehearsed. Like so this is the thing that I was hoping was a theory, but was not one I could find everywhere.
Just so you know, I cannot hear anything. So if the sound is supposed to be on,
Fuck. How do I share the sound?
Stop sharing again. Like stop sharing screen and then share again. But this time there's a little checkbox that says.
Oh, fuck. I'm sorry. Oh, that's
all
just
good.
This screen. That was the wrong screen. All right. One more time, baby.
I just thought you wanted to go through it silently so we could talk over it, but I didn't realize.
No, my bad. Yeah, no, the sound is fantastic.
Yeah, we'll have to play it just once just so I get the whole thing again.
Yeah. Can you hear it? There we go.
Hello, grandmother. I'm podcasting right now. Can I call you back in about a half an hour?
You can. Bye.
Okay, I love you. Bye.
Grandma, I'm watching murder. No, not to interrupt me.
I forgot to call her back yesterday, so I was like, I better pick up. She's gonna be fucking mad at me.
Oh, you bastard. Did you get it that time? Or we can go through it again. I love this.
God damn it.
Yeah. Dude, I love that.
Damn.
So this is again.
Pause before you keep to. Can you continue playing this? I want to see that police officer come up after and see what he says, because that's my favorite part.
Yeah,
the uniformed officer.
Somebody call the sheriff's office. Don't leave him there. Why did you not do this?
What does this guy say now? You can't hear what he says, but he's just like, I don't know.
No, he's still here. He's like, what the fuck was this?
Anyway, sorry. I got that.
Yeah, did you also hear the why did you fucking do that?
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. So
I don't like stupid questions though. Like, you know why he did that.
yeah, I know, but like the way that they do it, like I don't know, man. Like this is so baseless. I can't even like in good conscience say that this is a valid rumor because it's not. I couldn't find it anywhere to verify. It kind of feels like the cops also might have known, like a little bit. Just the way that, like, why, Gary? Why'd you do it? It's like he was standing there, like in the mirror all day, like, why, Gary? Why did you do it? Why, Gary? Why'd you do it?
Gary, why, Gary?
Yeah. How could you do this, Gary? Why? No, that's not it. And even the guy who like goes up to check on him, he's like, God damn it. As if like he just got done watching a fucking cop procedural.
I think that he went over and said, God damn it, because he's like, in his brain, he's like, maybe he missed. He went over there, like, God damn it, he hit him.
He almost fucking shot that guy too. Like that is very close. I mean, who knows? Maybe not. Maybe the angle's weird or something, but it looked to me like he could have very easily accidentally killed the cop.
Oh, for sure.
Which, let's be fair, Louisiana cop, no great loss, but
Innocent
he did not
until
molest
proven
your
guilty.
child.
Until proven molester.
Exactly. Oh boy, that is the infamous video, and one many people have seen. But
Here's one enhanced by AI.
what's enhanced by AI?
It would just be funny if you're like, that's the infamous video. Here's one enhanced
Oh,
by
yeah.
AI. It just shows
Here's
like,
another video
from all angles.
remade in 2023. After this comes, Jeffrey Doucet dies the next day. Mind you, I say everyone's seen this video because it does have, like, I think when it was still on YouTube, I don't know if it still is. I didn't find it on there. 20 million people had watched it.
I bet you the comments were amazing.
Oh yeah. But that's another problem I have with this is a lot of the sentiments online are just, we can get into that after we wrap this up, but there isn't much of anything left. It's just the trial. They don't really have to make much of a compelling case, but the long and short of it is Gary gets charged with second-degree murder and ultimately is only convicted of manslaughter. And he gets a 7-year suspended sentence with 300 hours of hard labor, which is just community service.
Okay, wait. Hard labor is just community service in Louisiana?
Yeah, pretty much. If you're white, I'm sure it's worse if you're not.
Okay. Because I was going to say, like, hard labor for Otto Warmbier was a little different.
Oh, well, yeah, in North Korea. Yeah, and more or less gets away with having killed a man in an airport on TV.
Okay, quick question. Unless you're going to tell me this later, but maybe I'm jumping the gun a bit, but what was fucking Doucet going to get? Like, what was what was he going to get? Like, he must have said that he stole the fucking kid. He must have admitted to it.
Yes. What was he charged with? Sorry, I thought I had written that down, but I don't think I did. Let's see here.
Like, is this the first perp walk they ever did with him? Like, was he ever in jail? Was this him brought back the guy and then they were just bringing him back to go to jail and then he killed him instantaneously? Or was this like months later?
No, this is very close to when so this was March 16th and they had traced the call and rescued Jodi on February 29th. So that was the last day of February, being a leap year. So this was really only a little over 2 weeks later. From what I can see right now, and this is what I thought, I don't think he was ever formally charged
This is where they were at. They were at that process of figuring out
because
what
he
to
had
get.
just been extradited from California
I gotcha.
to Louisiana. Yeah. So really his only charge in that moment was aggravated kidnapping. When he was initially arrested. So then they extradite him, and then that's where they were going to book
I
him
gotcha.
with formal charges, I think, for the molestation.
Yeah, because I was like, I had an impression that he was going to court for like he was about to go to trial. Like that's what, and then
No.
that would have been like what 6 months to a year of fucking Gary just stewing. That would have been a lot scarier. Imagine, like,
And
fuck.
and potentially Jodi, almost certainly having to testify
Yeah,
and going through that and ripping that open.
yeah,
I think that was a lot of the motivation, but you couldn't necessarily use any of that in a court case by the reasoning, as you'll find, is a little flimsy sounding, and I think that is out of necessity. They were insistent that Gary suffered a psychotic break. Totally possible. I don't think so. I think he was, I think you could argue it was that, but I don't think that's why he did it, because you look online or you ask any parent, and without being in a psychosis, they will say they would do the same thing.
yeah. I don't think it's psychosis, but what I do think is that in Louisiana, especially, I know in Canada, being drunk while doing something was not your fault before. So maybe he was just hammered and they went, he was drunk enough to be like, he's in psychotic state. He's not himself. So he's allowed to do shit. Being inebriated, like, got you away with like date rape and shit in Canada for the longest time. You know what I mean? I was drunk. I didn't know what I was doing. Like, get the fuck out of here. So that might have been part of the psychotic break. I
Yeah,
don't know. I'm just speculating, but I'm
No.
just saying, like, being drunk and shit like that used to be a good excuse.
no jury was going to convict him, I think.
That's
is
what I said.
ultimately
And
what,
no prosecutor was gonna try and prosecute him. Never mind a fuck get to jury. Like, Jesus, you're never gonna get that.
It was a foregone conclusion, and I think that is primarily why it came down to, they probably even just like caved and offered manslaughter fairly early. And the only reason they went with, second degree is so that they could get something, so it didn't look like they were just going to condone a murder.
Yeah, when they brought him in to sign the paper saying you're getting manslaughter, there was a revolver-shaped cake guaranteed, and he sold out the rest of his cheese. So it was.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
guaranteeing they were all cool with it. That's. I don't
That's
think
why
there
he
was-
did it, and then finally Plauché's Gourmets was vindicated. We just needed the right publicity stunt, baby. Take me back, June.
I'm flush with the cheese money, baby. Back to the old days.
We're gonna be dipping chips into our golden years. His sentence was entirely completed in 1989. It was just that community service and probation. He suffered a stroke in 2011. This is Gary, obviously, and he did die in 2014. I think he was 68. He was interviewed shortly before his death, and he, in the interview, did say if he could dig him up, he would do it again. So he
Good for him.
was
Fucking
not
right.
Yeah, he didn't really exactly waver in his opinion on his actions.
Fucking right. Fucking A. I love it. I love that the 68-year-old version of him was like, fucking put him up again. Give me a picture of him. I'll light it on fire. I don't give a fuck.
Yep. He
What's
said
your
no.
name? Jeff? Better not be fucking Doucet. Tell you that much.
Yep. It was a divided, reception in the public. I imagine still similar as it would be today. I think it would go over even less well today, obviously. But I think people are less likely to do something like that today just because
Wait, less likely to what? Shoot the molester or molest?
Oh, shoot the guy.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. No, and public opinion was not divided on the molestation.
No, I meant...
yeah, maybe, did you see that karate gi he was wearing? Maybe he was asking for it. I'm sure he just hated going to Disneyland.
I think I don't know, man. I think it would just be just as divided and louder.
No, I think I do think that, especially depending on where it happened, I think that, they might even suffer greater consequences. I think that's just because,
That would have happened for sure.
yeah, I think that we're in a different, because here's how we'll more or less cap it off. Jodi regrets deeply that his father did that. He does not have a bad word to say about his father. He, is very supportive of why he would have done that. But he says, after the shooting happened, I was very upset with what my father did. I did not want Jeff killed. I felt like he was going to go to jail, and that was enough for me. Jodi's stance on it is more or less that he wanted Gary to be a father first, because if you do something like that, if Gary, say, had gotten the cop, he wouldn't have just gotten probation. He would have gone to jail, and then Jodi would have been molested and fatherless at the same time. That's a very different life he could have lived. Even if it wasn't the cop, even if he just got a bystander. That's such a selfish thing that he did in that moment, because the damage was done. Jodi was molested. What he should have been done and wasn't, and that's unfortunate. It's not necessarily anybody's fault, but was prevention. And that's what Jodi does today. He talks to kids and parents and teachers and all types of groups that deal with kids or have kids, in their programs, about how to detect this stuff and how to prevent it from happening, how to deny these people opportunities, ways that you can structure interactions with adults and kids, and tactics to monitor this type of behavior. His whole thing is, it shouldn't happen in the first place, but if it does, murdering someone is not going to fix it.
Yeah, but for sure. And there's valid points to be had with that. And I understand why you'd want to think that way, especially you're the person who went through it. But like at the same time, you're 10 years old. So you're fucked to begin with, the whole thing. Like you can't be thinking straight about what you wanted and what you didn't want at 10 years old. Nowadays, there's no way you were like, I didn't want him to die. You didn't know what you wanted. You didn't understand. You wanted him to go to jail, sure, but you didn't understand that guy will be out before you're a teenager and probably come after you again. You know what I mean? Like
It could.
child molestation and shit is way too under, like it doesn't have proper
So
jail sentences and shit like that.
right, but do you know why that more than likely is?
Why? What more likely is that they have lower.
That we don't fucking, because people, nobody knows what to do with it, because nobody fucking talks about it in the way that we should. And the unfortunate part is we have to talk about it with empathy towards people whose brains are wired incorrectly, that they want to molest children. And that sucks, because you don't want to do that, but it is realistically the only way that we get at the root cause of figuring out where this stuff comes from. And instead of having it be, oh, I feel this way about kids, I'm going to hide it, because if I don't, people are going to celebrate me getting murdered on TV. It needs to be, I need to go and get help for this, and not feel too ashamed to do things to prevent this demon inside of me. And that's why this shit keeps fucking happening, is because we decide, oh, we need to just kill them. Well, guess what? Somebody killed him. That didn't stop anybody from getting molested.
You don't know
It stopped
that.
people from getting
You do
molested
not
by
know
Jeff
that.
Doucet.
You don't
It
know
stopped
that
people
though.
from getting molested by Jeff Doucet. But no, I do. Come on, man. How many fucking kids have been molested since 1984?
I'm not saying that every kid has not been molested since that happened. I'm saying maybe there's another guy that went like, I don't want to get my fucking face shot off. So I'm not gonna molest kids anymore. I'm done.
Yeah, one fucking guy. Maybe if Jeff
Start-
Doucet had any kind of, structured therapy where he could go and seek out what happened to him when he was molested. If he had therapy, he could have been in a place where he never would have molested, even if that's just stuck in a psych ward throughout his entire adult life.
Yeah, but we don't have money for that. Nobody's got fucking cash to look at look at Hollywood. It's half pedophiles. Imagine they were all in fucking jail.
Yeah,
We're
but
all
we
in the
don't
psych
we don't
ward.
have money to keep people in jail for life, but we do anyways. We don't have money to fucking perform the death penalty on people, but people do it anyways because everything's just driven by emotion and not any kind of rationale or practicality. Again, I'm not expecting anybody to easily feel that way or to empathize with someone who abuses children in any capacity. Of course you want that person dead. That's just it's the angriest you could ever make somebody is doing that to someone they love. But it didn't happen to someone you love.
Is this where we're debating? Is this what we're doing right now?
Yeah, why not? I mean, we can,
I'm just wondering if you have more to go, because like,
I can go all day on it. So I've been talking a long time though.
sure, I'm all for helping people, but no, there's a certain line where you're done now. You're not. It's like working on something like a project of some sort. Let's say a picture. You're drawing a picture, and then you just fuck it up so badly, you just crumple it up, throw it in the garbage. No fixing it. It's done now. And I'm sorry that I'm. If you can go through your life, I know people are fucked up, but if you can go through your life and be like, I'm gonna fuck that kid, you don't deserve to live. You do not deserve to have therapy. Therapy should be for someone who has like bad anxiety. Like let them get in there and they can fucking calm their lives down. Want to touch children. Like,
But where do you draw that line?
the line is
Is it at kids? Do you know what I mean? Because what about someone who's never molested kids, but say watches simulated child pornography?
See, I think, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think we should gather up all of like as an adult. I have a bunch of pictures when I was naked as a child. Give them to the fucking. I'm consenting to you jacking off to baby Richard. You know what I mean?
I'm like, here I am saying we need to have empathy. Richard's like, let's distribute child pornography of ourselves.
It's of me.
Boom.
It's of me. What do I care? It's of me. And then you got a nice safe space.
You're gonna stop
It's like
more
a safe.
child rapes than Gary Plaunché ever fucking dreamed of.
It's like a safe injection site. You go there. Nice projectors put up on the wall. Like, clean on this one.
Oh
Thanks
my
to-
god.
Thanks to 40-year-old Richard Studo for donating this stack of 14 pictures. Who else donated something today?
I dream of a world where we can get people to willingly, do things like chemically castrate or make inroads in trying to, take responsibility for this kind of thinking in ways that everybody has to, regardless of what your thing is. So like, yes, if you have schizophrenia, which is not even remotely relatable to what we're talking about, but it is a mental illness that a lot of people ascribe as something that, in the kind of zeitgeist we think of as potentially having violent tendencies. Not true. But, we think of it in those terms. We don't decide to kill those people. Do you know what I mean? Just because maybe sometimes they might kill a person. Not the same thing necessarily, because if you want to fuck kids, that's very single-minded, but not always though either. So there's a lot of kind of revolving things around it that I think you can attack and kind of like get to the root cause of it to prevent this stuff and just make things better in the long run than just like every time a new weed pops up, you fucking pluck it. That doesn't fucking work.
I don't know. Do we do it? Have we tried it? Because like we shot one guy, but I mean, if we shoot every guy that diddles a child, you think people are going to diddle children?
Yep.
Less, for sure, because a lot of these guys.
That's not how fucking evolution works. Like that's not how psychology
That's
works.
how. That's definitely how evolution works. You cut out the
not on
fucking
that
ones with the.
slow of a scale. So if I fucking hold
Evolution-
you and all your kids' heads underwater, you're gonna grow gills? No.
No, you're gonna keep killing all the people until it's the people that can survive because breathe underwater.
Yeah.
That's how evolution exactly works. You kill off the fucking weak.
Absolutely not works. Talking over such an infinitely long projected time.
We got lots of time. We got lots of time to kill pedos.
People have been doing this since there have been people.
Yeah, think about what if they didn't. Think about all the pedos running around if we didn't kill all the ones that we did.
Well, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Be a lot more ants in my house if I didn't fucking kill them either. It doesn't mean they don't keep popping up. And if I get an exterminator, yeah, maybe it gets rid of them for that
I
amount of
want you
time.
to, okay, put it this way. Gary Plaunché shot fucking Jeff Doucet. That guy's not molesting anyone ever again. Perfect. Now, show me the example of someone who went to therapy and stopped molesting. I'll wait.
I'm sure we can find it.
I doubt it. Let's see it. Let's check it out. Because, like, having thoughts of things aren't real. You can have thoughts all you want. As soon as you act on those things, because everyone cannot act on their thoughts. It's just real.
I am opening up an incognito window for this.
I'm just saying, like, it's all nice and great to say everyone could just be therapized out of everything, but, like, can they? Because, like, that sounds like a nice idea, but, like, is that going to work? Has that ever happened? I've never heard of it. I've heard of repeat offenders going in and out of jail, like, for years upon years, just molesting, and no one stops them ever.
Yeah.
And, like, maybe not murder. Like, I'm being facetious when I say kill people because I'm against death penalty for real. But, like, as soon as you're a child molester, it should be the same as a fucking murder. Jail for life. It shouldn't be this, like, I just touched a kid and I'm out in 3 years. That does not make sense to me. And you could sit there and put them in jail for the rest of their life and therapize them all you want. I don't care if they get better. They're not getting out. They touched a child. It's like you cross the line. You don't get to be part of society anymore. There's many lines. There's very few lines that especially a parent is not going to forgive. You'd be done. I wouldn't be that cool with it. I wouldn't be cool with it. I'd be at every fucking bail hearing or every, like, whatever you call it when they get out of jail meeting. I'd be there and being like, no, fuck no.
Mm-hmm. So there is something, and I learned about this. I don't have an example yet, but I do think this is somewhat adjacent and just interesting. So I have OCD, and when I was researching it, there is something related to OCD that's called pure OCD. I do not fucking know why they call it this, but it is rooted purely in the fact of being afraid that you're going to, like, have sex with a kid, or, like, afraid that you're attracted to kids.
Are you the example?
No, don't put me there. I'll kill you.
I'm just kidding. So, okay, so there's pure OCD where you think you're gonna bang children, and that's been
and that's like I don't know for sure. I just thought this was an interesting side note because it's coming up again when I'm searching.
I was gonna ask about other mental illnesses. Let's just take the whole pedophilia off the thing. People go to therapy, let's say, for high anxiety. Does the therapy cure the high anxiety, or do you have to just continuously go to therapy and get medicated for you to keep it under control? No guarantee that your high anxiety is not going to come back.
It depends, but anxiety is a bad analog because anxiety isn't necessarily
depression, let's say,
or depression's a bad analog too. We have to talk in terms of, like, a personality disorder like BPD or schizophrenia, or like a mood disorder. Like,
I was trying to make it
bipolar.
easy for you because those ones are the easy ones. Let's try bipolar. Has someone gone to therapy, cured themselves, been off on their medication, like, without, like, just done, and no worry of it ever coming back? Or do you just have to constantly go to therapy, be on medication, and be fully aware of your sickness? It's not worth the time and effort for a fucking guy who diddled a kid.
No, but this isn't a one prong attack. It's multiple areas, because it's the same thing that Jodi talks about when you talk about prevention and communication about this. Because if we just look at everything through the lens of hate, kill, you're not thinking about the things that you can do to insulate kids from this kind of behavior, which are not done overwhelmingly. That is how people still in positions of power, teachers, clergy members, fucking Boy Scout leaders. I was talking to my friend, they do jujitsu. There's a huge fucking problem with sex offenders in martial arts, overwhelmingly, just like this shit happened with Jeff Doucet. These people keep infiltrating these things because the people who are hiring them and bringing them on have no wherewithal to spot any kind of clues that you can pick up on that people like Jodi can point to, like that. So it's not just murdering end that. It's not just therapy, do that instead. It's a combination of all of these things. It's about elevating society's consciousness above just bad thing, gross, kill it. Like that's Neanderthal type thinking, and like it's never going to solve anything. It's only just going to keep us in that cycle. Yeah, kill all the pedophiles. That's fine. They're just going to keep popping up, and you're going to have to keep killing them.
But like the prevention part is that's a different issue for me. Those are two separate things. We should be doing that for sure, 100%, giving kids all sorts of knowledge and this is how, don't get yourself in this situation. Fucking, if this happens, tell your parents, shit like that. Don't be scared to tell your parents. All that should be normalized. Cool. But what I'm saying, as soon as you cross that line, you should just, I was being joking when I was saying I think people should kill, like that's too far. I'm literally against the death penalty.
Yeah.
I find it's more of a better punishment to just stick someone in a hole, let them live down that hole for the rest of their life.
Oh,
and that's what I think you should do. Like the laws should be changed so they're not so lenient towards the people that cross that line.
Yeah.
And sure, you want to put them through therapy, but they're never, in my opinion, you should never get out. You should just be in jail now. Because like
it's tough to advocate for that too, because it just from my perspective, because I already think that like prison doesn't work in its current incarnation. Because like, so like, you know, even if you can, you know, categorically just put someone in a hole for the rest of their lives, that also goes back on, you know, the conversation about like costs and money and all that. I mean, it's like once you stack all of this up, I mean, what do you have except like there is a story, I'll have to find it and send it to you, but there is the thing where they tried to put a bunch of pedophiles on an island and it was a resounding failure. But they tried to just take sex offenders and they would move them to this facility that was on an island. I think it was on the West Coast, somewhere like near Washington or Oregon.
It wasn't near LA, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Hollywood fucking pedos.
I can't remember like what era it was into. I feel like it's quite old.
It wasn't Washington either, so if we're on the West Coast, not much left.
Right. But they try to do something like that. Again, you have a very small sample size you're working with, but it's like the same thing is very true of drugs. I mean, you could argue that a drug addiction is at least like touches the same level of compulsion that a sexual proclivity has, like that, you know? So if jail doesn't work for drugs, it's not going to cure anybody. Nobody's getting cured, period. That's just the reality of it. But it doesn't mean we can't research it and figure out ways to, no one's saying integrate into society seamlessly, but with everything that we can do with technology and medicine, there's nothing that says, you know, if we just pay a little bit more attention to this and talk about it in a different way, we can't figure out a better way than just, because what ends up happening is more kids get hurt because we go, blah, 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 it's icky and terrible, we should murder those guys. That's the cycle that we keep ending up in. And it's not about do they deserve or not deserve to live. I don't care what Gary Plaunché did. That's the thing. I don't demonize him for that, and I'm not going to pretend that I can understand what his thought process was. I don't think he's a bad guy for that. But I don't think collectively as a society we should just go kill it.
I'll bend to that because I literally don't think that's the answer for anything. But I also don't like the way it currently is with these fucking.
No, God,
wait,
no.
what's the I heard a TED talk where some chick was trying to say being a pedophile is like a sexual orientation. It's in the plus category. Like, get the fuck out of here. And she was calling them minor attracted people, MAPs, not pedos. I don't like the changing of verbiage to make it less of a bad thing. Go fuck yourselves, pedo pieces of shit. And
I'm not against what you're saying there.
I don't, like I said, I'm not a hateful person at all. And I don't even know. Like, even if it was, let's pretend instead of it being like someone molested my kid, my kid ended up being a pedo, let's just say, you know,
right.
To put it from, I have to love the pedophile. I still probably would think that you should be in jail for the rest of your life, you know?
But let's change the context even more. Like, what if that is somebody coming to you, asking you for help prior to having done something?
That's
or even
different.
If they got close to doing something.
That's different.
That is different.
As soon as you hit the line, that's when you're done.
Right,
yeah. You can have as many thoughts as you want. You are not in charge of how your brain works a lot of the time. You know what I mean? But you're in charge of
Sure.
like acting upon what your brain tells you to do most of the time, unless you
Mhm.
got like schizophrenia or something like really out there. Even then, people with schizophrenia are more likely to be molested than a fucking molester. You know what I mean? They're more likely to be assaulted than the actual people they think are getting assaulted by mental health. So if somebody's
Right.
coming up to you and saying, "Hey, I have these feelings," then that's when you go to therapy, and that's when you don't.
Right.
That I'm okay with. But like
But I think
the line's there, and we make lines for a reason because it's fucking gets out of hand otherwise.
yes, we have social contracts are very important. And a breakdown of those is what's been wrong with a lot of things lately. But I suppose this, and I have no proof or anything, and I'm not saying this is even the case, but there are potentially far, far, far more people out there with like this kind of issue that will never say anything and never even act on it, maybe, but never say anything because of the sentiment we have towards it, which seems appropriate most of the time because you always think of it in a post-act sense. And the reality is like it would be just the same as if it was someone murdering kids and had fantasies about murdering them. You know, you would hope, well, that's fucked up. I hope you go and get fucking help for that. You know, it wouldn't be for some reason the violence isn't as grotesque or disgusting as it being a sexual as something rooted in sexuality. There's something about that with society that really fucking puts people over the edge.
It's the same, dude. You're overthinking that because if you have murderous thoughts and you want to murder all the time, you think there's not people that are just keeping that a secret because they know they're going to jail for the rest of their lives if they fucking murder someone. Like it's the exact same. No one's going looking for help for their like I think about killing my wife every night. People have that
There
thought
are
and just don't do it.
absolutely people who are going and looking for help over that.
Then why aren't the pedophiles? It's the same sentiment.
I'm sure they are. I am sure there are lots of people. You don't know what's going on in people's therapy. You know what I mean? Like it's just like there's like no way of knowing for sure. I'm not saying like let's like exonerate all pedophiles. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm also not saying like let's lump them in with another sexual orientation either. It's a fucking like personality disorder of the highest degree. It's the same thing as if like you can't function in normal society because there are children around. That's just the reality of it. So you either have to figure out how to remove them from society or like people suggest remove them from the gene pool. Not a fucking reality, never gonna happen. Or figure out a way to make it fucking work what we have. I mean, like that's just there's no other way around it. Like it's something that keeps happening. I'm not saying accept it. I'm not saying lean into it. I'm saying like we need to find better ways, and there are ways that people are offering, but no one wants to hear it because when you hear somebody killed a guy, you say what happened. You hear somebody raped somebody. Fuck that person. Stain of the earth. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference there that you can't really quite qualify. And I mean really just say why. Say why. And I don't think you can.
I know why people don't ask why, because there can be an excuse for murder, which it shouldn't be, but there is. She fucking set me off, man. I caught her cheating. She hit the kids, raped my kid.
None of that is a viable reason. In the same way that there's no viable reason for rape.
Understood, but somebody can understand that. Unless you're talking to another pedophile, it's like, oh, you just look fucking good in those little Oshkoshes. Like, no one's gonna go, oh, dude, you can understand if your wife is cheating. You're not gonna do it. You can understand why someone would want to go shoot someone. You can't understand someone wanting to molest a kid. And that's I don't want to understand that. That's the thing, is like, I don't think that is, or like even just like a rape. Like you couldn't go like to a hooker, dude. Like you had to do that there. Like that's the part that gets you hot.
Well, there's people who can only find that, you know, because then you're getting into all kinds of paraphilia. You know what I mean? Because then you can bring up like bestiality and all this other stuff. You know,
yeah, but there's hot dogs out there. I get that one.
Let's not even go any further. That's the best way to.
I just think we're all fucked because we're still like, and like, don't get me wrong, I understand that this is very complicated and it's not an easy solution to anything, but like, we're fucking following laws from like 300 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, shit that, like, pedophilia laws, it was cool. Like, think of Elvis. He was banging a 14-year-old. Everyone was like, oh, he's rich. It's cool. That was fucked up. But nobody thought it was that fucked up back then. Just standards have changed and we're not changing with it. And I just think like the punishment should be a lot. And I'm not going to pretend that a society can run without fucking actual rules and laws and everything, because it really can't. Anarchy is fun for like an hour until you get all the shit you want, and then you wait. Oh wait, I got to protect the shit again because there's more people want that shit from me. You know what I mean? Like anarchy's cool for an hour.
No,
So we need rules, and we need to fucking fix those rules. That's just my opinion. Like I don't.
You're not wrong. I do think people should go to jail longer for abusing a child than selling crack. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like,
and that's where my missing piece is. Do I want them all killed? I don't want anybody killed. I joke about it, but like if they did to my kid, I might fucking cross that line and people would understand why I did it and I wouldn't go to jail probably. I'd probably go to jail for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But just listen, like that Jason Vukovic kid. You ever hear about this guy, the Last Avenger?
No.
He was molested a bunch when he was a kid, and then he got older and went on the sex registry in Alaska and found anybody that was a sex offender, went to their house and beat the fuck out of them. Never killed anybody, but he ends up getting, I don't know, 20 years in jail or something. And his defense in court's like, all these guys, if you added up their molestation charges, altogether is less than what I got for just beating their asses for doing this shit. And there's a problem with that. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree, and I think I respect that kind of protest, I guess, but it begs the question, like, you know, if you're going to condone that, where does that stop? Because you can't trust everybody, because then you're saying, you know, if something like that is okay, well, who's to say somebody who's going to act in bad faith doesn't, you know what I mean?
For sure. That's what I'm saying. We need laws because that's not okay either. But what's not okay is the sentencing that goes around the differences. There's got to be like a revamp of like sex laws all around. Like
Without
Bill
question.
Cosby made it get fucking revamped because like they have statute of limitations on rapes for, I don't know, 40 years or something like that. And like Jake's like, I was just too scared to come out with it. Now I can't, like, we can't put him in jail because he's fake blind. Like,
right. But do you know, like, this is kind of the point of it though. It's like that came from a lack of awareness and conversation surrounding it. And I'm not saying that you ever have to feel bad for a pedophile. Don't ever do that. But you can't ignore that learning more about it and trying to understand them better isn't going to lead to better outcomes for any future or realistically past victims. Because that's the thing. If you can dig this stuff up, maybe they find ways to implement new laws that make things better for people who have been abused in the past, like you're saying they did in Bill Cosby's instance. You know what I mean? Trying to bury your head in the sand and just like categorically across the board, here's the one punishment, is just like, it's never going to work, because we are where we are right now, and it's because people find it uncomfy to talk about this shit. That's just the realistic case of it. I mean, nobody wants to sit down in orientation on their first day as a principal and learn all the ways every single one of their employees might be having sex with the kids in the school.
And you can't really figure that out because it's so personal. That's like, if someone wants to hide that shit and go all the way through school, you're never going to find out until it happens. How the fuck are you supposed to find out?
But we have made progress there with mental health, is what I'm saying. Like, it's happened in other areas.
Sure. And I'm not disagreeing with like prevention and all that stuff. Like, I do think education is the way out of this to a point, but I'm more of a hardliner when it comes to like the act. When it gets to that point, you're done. Before that, I'm all for you going to get help for yourself. I'm going to think you're an icky, gross person. See, that's the problem, is I can't get past you want to touch kids, and I don't want to get past it.
No,
I don't want to.
You shouldn't have to. No one's saying you have to find a different way of looking at the act. You just have to find a different way of looking at people who are susceptible to performing that act. I mean, that's what sucks. It's hard, but
put it this way. It's the same thing. Okay, you ever have like a friend who just like punches holes in walls because they're mad all the time, or whatever, they just freak out and
Yeah,
yell.
sure.
I don't want to be
Yeah.
around those people either. And I don't think they're
Yeah.
cool people. I know they need therapy, but like I still think they're fucking icky ass people who need to
Mhm.
go figure it out for themselves. So
Right.
like,
But and if they do, and you see them fucking working as a car salesman, and they're like, yeah, my life was really hard, and I'm figuring a lot of things out. Now I fucking help out at abused women's shelters or something. You're gonna be like, wow,
I'll believe it when I see it. That's kind of the
that's
asshole I
yeah.
am.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't think there's an issue with your stance on it as much as it is. It's just a societal issue that I think the reality is one way or another, just based on the way everything else is gone, if we don't die from drowning from glacier water, it's going to get there anyways. I mean, that's just what's going to happen because you
Oh,
can't
the
ignore.
human mind has been studied so much, especially just in our lifetime. Just
Mhm.
you could see so much, and I joke about this stuff, saying like I'm a '90s kid, I can say whatever I want, but like uh, just saying retard or like fag or like all those words we use like willy nilly as kids, we understand why that's hurtful, and we try not to use them as much. I just do it
Mhm.
out of habit, and it's probably a bad habit to do, but I mean it's true. Like I can't deny that
Yeah.
things have moved in a proper direction. It's just like it's for our kids.
Oh yeah, no
It's
doubt. I mean, I'm just saying. I think that I mean, like there's something we can do more,
some
and
sure,
because
and
that's
I don't disagree with that. But I mean, if you have thoughts of this yourself, I think you should know. See, that's the thing. If a
there are budding
therapist,
resources out there though. Like that's the thing. And that's the type of thing that people should be seeking out instead of hiding it because the longer you hide it, the more it's going to manifest and the more likely you're going to be to act on it. Like that's just
and
the reality of it.
but that's the thing is you should think you're fucking gross for it, and you should go look to fix it. You shouldn't go
Well,
like
yeah,
nothing's
because
ever gonna happen because then that's how shit happens. But like, I don't want to be like that's the thing is like therapists need to come out and start saying like I take patients who might be pedophilic.
yep,
Don't
yep,
worry about me because I'm not. I don't want to know that you're.
yes.
I don't want to know your inner thoughts on that. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I know guy was punching holes in walls and I didn't like that. And then he tells me he's better. I don't want to know that you like look at child porn and then you went and got fixed. I'd still think you're a piece of shit after. So I don't want to have that first part.
You're absolutely right. And the problem is effectively less than a half of percent of therapists have an actual like good base of knowledge and qualification to work in that. And that's the fucking problem because nobody wants to do that because of the way that it's seen. If you go out and say, I'm a therapist and I specialize in patients who have pedophilic tendencies, everyone's going to think you're fucking gross. And that's the issue is there's all this fucking cascading effect of how it looks. You know what I mean? It is understandably gross, but there needs to be a bit of a narrative shift because without the narrative shift, more kids keep getting fucked, dude. Like that's just what's happening. And it's ultimately society is enabling it by not because all we fucking do is fail kids. You already fail them in school every fucking day when they get shot to death. You know what I mean? And then now, it's only really just now that people are really starting to think in terms of like, how do we stop kids from getting fucked? Not how do we punish the people who have them and then move on from it. You know what I
But
mean?
like, okay, let's use the school shooting. That's a great example actually, because like, what are they doing to better that in schools? I feel like it gets worse every year.
That's what
And
I'm
kids,
saying
they have
because it's
drills,
being
but they have more education. They have more people are hiding behind doors. They're locking fucking doors up and shit like that. So I'm sure lots of less. They have fucking drills at my kid's
but
school.
none of that is the root fucking cause though. That's what I'm trying to say is it's the same exact problem because it's not going after the root cause. It's not attacking it before it becomes a problem because guns are still wildly fucking prolific in America. And so are issues with mental health. You fucking take our bullshit healthcare system and revamp it some magic way and overnight all of these issues are going to see a significant improvement because that is what it fully comes down to is the fact that people are fucked in the head because we're a bunch of hairless monkeys that don't know how to do anything with all the stimuli and feelings that we have inside of ourselves.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready for that. I'm gonna leave that one up to my kids. I don't know if I'm ready for a culture change where I'm like cool with if you haven't pedophilic thoughts, and I think you should go get therapy. I just think you're a perv and a grossy weirdo.
But it shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be you have to be cool with it. It'd be cool. It'd be the same way you'd be uncomfortable around somebody who has, a violent mental illness of any other kind. You wouldn't necessarily see them, yeah, ideally we can zap everyone's problems away and everybody can be equitable. That would be great. But I know that's not a reality. But in the sense of like something like this, we can at least start to fucking try, because without trying, it is just hurting kids. That's what it's boiling down to. I mean, all we do in society is fucking fail children repeatedly. I mean, and it comes from holding on to like these weird fucking, ideological concepts of like, oh, whether it's toxic masculinity about like, you don't look at my daughter like that, or if it's fucking like just pure violent rage of like, you hurts that kid, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And it's like, yeah, all natural reactions and just purely based on the fact that you have them. But it doesn't mean, since when is acting on any of our natural urges ever done anybody any fucking favors? That's not how we got to the point of wearing clothes and talking on fucking Zoom.
Like I said, I'm down for all of it. It's just there's no simple way of like identifying without ickiness.
No, you'll never be comfortable with it. And there's no expectation to, I don't think, because it has to come down to figuring out a way, because obviously people who do act on it have some issue with processing shame. And I'm sure they feel immense amounts of shame inside and outside of, they go back and forth, between doing, the act or thinking of the act and then not being in that mindset. But it's like, how do we appropriately connect those wires? And that is all something for people way smarter than me to figure out. I recognize that. But some people have thought about it and people have talked about it. And I think we ought to open our minds to that kind of conversation.
Yeah, you can have that. I'll give it to you.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go so hard in the paint, but
no, it's okay. I feel like that's the best way I could end that.
yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I'm not trying to like. It's just I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do.
I'll never pretend like anybody can or should be convinced, because it's the emotions that you feel are not something that you can help when something like that happens. Kind of like people who are born wanting to be attracted to kids. Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know about that though. But the thing is, like, yes, what you're saying is accurate, but mine's less icky. So,
I mean, I don't listen.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I like eating shit. It's like, cool, that's good for you, I guess.
Yeah.
It's still fucked up. Like,
yeah, right.
Care.
If it doesn't hurt somebody, and I think the problem is though, is that overwhelmingly a lot of people's sexual proclivities can hurt people. And that's something that, even beyond just pedophilia, that I think people need to talk about and think about more, because, with paraphilias like that, it really creates this like tension that people just don't want to listen or hear anything. And it's understandable because icky, but it also has a lot to do with society's relationship with sex and why we're more comfortable with seeing someone's head get blown apart than we are with talking about, hey, how do we stop people from fucking kids? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. See, even like, I even view murder as more natural than banging a child.
Well,
like,
yeah, I mean, because you can't fuck a kid in self-defense. Like,
I'm not talking that. I'm just talking like, war, or like going to grab shit you want. Like that makes more sense.
But that's also, I mean, I can be as fucking bleeding heart as to a disgusting degree and say that, I mean, that also shouldn't make sense. But I mean, I think you can probably glean that at this point. I don't disagree with what you're saying. Like there are things that are always going to be, seemingly very normalized, but that's because we've been conditioned for it to be normalized. I mean, that's what society is. It's all just like a long con of conditioning. I mean, people like and this is like almost totally off base, but it makes sense. In China, most people in China don't think it's weird what happens in China. They live their life day to day, knowing full well the government is fully authoritarian and straight up dystopian, but they get used to it, and then they go to work. And that's just what happens. I mean, if that can happen for the worse, it can happen for the better.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've beaten the dead horse at this point. I'm
No, yeah, I know. I mean, this might actually also be the most sincere episode of Private Dicks we've ever done.
I think it's the most sincere you've ever been in your
Oh
life.
yeah. I get very wrapped up when it comes to like not pedophiles in particular. But when it comes to like specifically killing somebody and how that's like justifiable, I really don't think there's ever been a justifiable murder. I can't ever say that I condone it. I'm vehemently against the death penalty. I'm vehemently against guns. They're the only thing that people call a tool where its only sole purpose is to end life of any kind. So there's just so much that bothers me about.
What if you need to open a lock?
Yeah, there's probably safer tools for that.
I've seen it happen in movies. Padlocks get shot off pretty easy.
I've done it in several video games. It's very fun. It's very fun. I don't think it works quite the same way in real life.
What about like abusive husband who won't let you leave the house?
I'm never going to admonish somebody for killing somebody in their own personal situation. It's just not my place to do that. But on paper, yeah, no, don't do it, because what if you have kids, and what if you end up suffering unfair consequences? You know what I mean? What if you fail and then he fucking kills you and he wasn't necessarily going to kill you before? You know what I mean? Like there's violence is, unfortunately, as much as the justice inside of us, that desire for catharsis wants to believe, violence met with violence is never going to actually solve the issue.
What if somebody has a gun to Misty's head and you like can sneak around the corner and shoot this guy, or just like you got him, like dead to rights?
First off, I'm the worst fucking person to do that. You know what my eyes look like.
That's true.
You can just picture what they look like out of them.
Let's take, like, you have a fucking Navy SEAL like Jeff Doucet sleeping at your house, and you know he's got it. All you got to do is give him and then he does it, like the chin down.
I think it's very contextual, and I think, like, yeah, in that situation, I mean, like, are you gonna get me to like kill somebody?
Or
Maybe.
China
China
comes and invades America, and they're knocking down doors, and they want to fucking shoot you and all your family for all your shit. There's no justifiable like self-defense in that.
Ni hao. How can I help you?
Bend the knee, okay.
Yeah, dude, for real. Do you know how like polite people must be in China?
Yeah, I would
Like
imagine.
in public.
I would imagine much more polite.
I'm not
than
gonna
here.
sit like, as much as I hate fascism and authoritarianism with like a passion, like would like a violent uprising potentially be necessary to prevent fascism in America? Maybe, who knows? I don't know. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I wouldn't thrive with that much structure. Whatever like inkling of autism I have would absolutely zoom to success in an authoritarian society.
Okay, so you can't justify any murder at all.
No, not specifically, not for myself. I can't, I couldn't, I mean, God forbid, like, in the instance with Misty, like, yeah, like me or the Navy SEAL miss and clip her jugular, or like, even if I miss and hit the neighbor, or like, even if like I fucking like succeed and then I just have night sweats all the time because I know that I murdered a person, whether or not they deserved it. Like, there's never going to be an instance where I think that it's like, the human body is inviolable in every aspect, whether that's like physically from harm of any kind, just bodily or sexual of somehow, or murder. I mean, it's just not like, in the same way, in the same breath that I think, abortion should be legal, murder should be unconscionable. You know what I mean? Because a person's body is theirs to do with as they please. I mean, and when you take that away from somebody, you are committing like just like the most heinous act you could, regardless of what that looks like.
Wow. I have yeah, okay. Murder's necessary in my opinion, but not,
and that's fair.
Not on a day-to-day, but like, you to tell
Right.
me if everyone had your attitude, you'd have America? No, you wouldn't. You'd have fucking...
I don't fucking want America.
Yes,
Have you
you
been
do.
here?
Yes, you do. You want that above
Not in its
fucking.
current incarnation. I would.
You
like
want that
it to be
above
very
North Korea?
different.
You don't want to be fucking China. You don't want to be fucking
No, but those
Nazi
all got
Germany.
to where they were with murder too. That's
what I'm saying. The only reason they're not getting further is because of murder. Like murder is stopping them from murdering their way
Not
through
true.
these.
China has the most imperialistic intentions. If they could, exactly what you said would happen. If they could activate all of the sleeper agents through TikTok today, they would. We would be fucking China B. We'd be little China.
They only don't do it because they're going to get shot at.
I don't feel like
that's the reason they're not doing it.
Yeah, to us, like we have, but that's the thing, is because society as a whole, humanity has built itself like that. I know it's a bigger problem than I could ever solve, but I'm saying, like, hey, wouldn't it be fucking nice if it wasn't?
Yeah, it would be nice if we lived in this fucking utopian paradise where everyone wanted to get along, but that's just not reality, my friend. Like, I wish it were.
Reality right now, but who's to say if everybody, decided to think that way, it would be impossible to get there. You know what I mean? Like,
all the people.
Hate John Lennon, who said that, but also keep in mind he was shot to death with a gun. So
yeah, and he was preaching the most peace out of anyone. He's bigger than Jesus.
Yeah. Also a sex offender, but hey.
Flawed. A couple hours of therapy would be good.
Yep.
I just watched Private Dicks and I think RJ's the funniest.
What? Come on.